Kushal, welcome to the show. Interesting Insights with Abhiram Molla. It's my honor to host you on the show. Let's get started. Just wanted to understand when did the travel bug hit bit you? How it all started? Hmm.
Okay. Glad to be talking to you, Abhiram. And it's good to see you too, also. And yeah, sure. Why not? Since traveling has been one of my hobbies since a long, long time. So yeah, I'll definitely would be glad to share my insights.
Yeah. Just wanted to understand: was there a single event or a series of events that uh, sparked the passion for travel, or how did it all started?
I think it was a series of events over the
Okay.
course of past 25 years, 25, 30 years. It also was a bug which was passed on to me from my father, who is an extensive traveler. He was a born traveling salesman and he had a job as a traveling salesman. So he has traveled extensively across India, almost 24 or 25 states. So he has a different and a very minute understanding of people's cultures. Always had a habit of talking to people and asking them, what do you do in your routine lives? So if you travel with him, in any given point of time, you'll always see him with a tea vendor or any kind of person on the road, just talking normally as to what do you do, what is the local culture all about. So that's where he gets the most input from. So I think that has just passed on by inheritance to me, and I think that's where the whole thing started. I would not call it a single event, though. Yes, there are a couple of events which actually shape my destiny for traveling.
All right. Kushal, can you recall some of the memorable trips you've gone to, and why are they memorable to you?
Sure. My first memorable trip was it's a yatra called Char Dham Yatra. Char Dham Yatra is basically it's kind of a mix between a trek and by road or traveling to the Char Dhams, which is Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri. These when the I think the most important thing about this whole trip was it was through a group, and since we were based in Ahmedabad at that time, the whole group was Gujarati, and we were the only family who were speaking in Hindi. But at no point during the whole trip did these other tourists, they made us feel like outsiders. They made us feel like we were just another extended family of who has joined them on a trip. And this trip was 17 days long. It started from Ahmedabad. We landed in Delhi by train. We went from Delhi to Haridwar. Then we went to Dehradun. Then we went to these Char Dhams. Then we went to Rishikesh. So we covered all these major parts. And we went to Nainital, Bhimtal. So in this journey, I think that is what ignited, the actual ignition happened here. Because that whole bonhomie of that group, this entire journey, that was so infectious that I thought, okay, maybe traveling is really a really amazing thing to do in life. One must travel like this, whether it's in a group or solo, that is secondary. But in this trip, I think I covered everything almost. And the best part about this trip was we got Gujarati hot food, Gujarati cuisine everywhere, including at Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri. So imagine we got amras, mango pulp there to eat. Mango pulp is very close to the heart for all Gujaratis. So that was an eye opener for me. Like how to travel, what to take care of traveling. We spoke to so many local people there. We came to know, okay, this is how the Himalayas work. The how people maintain jobs in the Himalayas. So yeah, so that was my first the ignition starting point of it. The second, I have totally three trips which I'll call memorable. This was the first. The second one was a North India trip which I took with which I undertook with my wife. This was the first long trip after our wedding in 2016. We did this in 2017 February, 2018 February, sorry. The duration was almost 11 days. So why this trip is memorable? Because I designed it myself, right from start to finish, right from airfares to hotel bookings to taxi vendors to train bookings or whatever it might be. Everything I booked it by myself, and that is the best part about this trip, that I have that independence of booking it myself and enjoying it with my wife, knowing that I am not going to blame somebody else for any kind of mishap or any kind of deviation. But in this whole trip, we started off at Vaishno Devi. We landed at Katra. We climbed all the way to Vaishno Devi. We came back to Katra, and then we started our journey towards Delhi. So we went to Amritsar. On the way, we went to McLeodganj, the Dharamshala. So when we were passing from Katra to Jammu, we have a very well-known family friend there of ours. So we met him there. So he asked us, where are we going? So I said, we are going so such and such place, and then we will go to Amritsar and Chandigarh. So he said, he gave us a very valuable opinion. Do not go anywhere else. First go to McLeodganj and Dharamshala. You will absolutely love it because you are youngsters, and there is a hip crowd there in Dharamshala and McLeodganj. So we took his advice. We told the taxi driver, we'll deviate and we'll go to these two places. And believe me, those 2 days were the best days of the entire trip. Much more than the thrill of walking up to Vaishno Devi, much more than seeing the Taj Mahal at Agra, or much more than anything throughout this trip. I mean, that deviation, that can only work when you talk to local people. So, in fact, I was posting on Facebook every day about that day 1 I did this, day 2 I did this, day 3 I did this. So, I mean, our MBA classmates used to comment on it that where next. So yeah, so it's kind of amazing that you do a trip and then you post it on social media, and that gives you the independence and happiness that I did this myself. So the final stop was in Agra, and then we returned to Delhi to catch a flight back to Bangalore. And we had some social functions. So that was the second trip. The third trip, definitely, I would say it is not in India, it was in Iceland, which I covered recently last year. A self-driven trip of over 3,500 kilometers. I drove the whole thing and almost 16 days. So 16 days, 3,500 kilometers in a nice, very good automatic car. Absolutely no traffic, which is very unheard of nowadays in India. It is so we could cover almost how much 120 kilometers in less than 2 hours. So it's pretty brilliant. The sites, our independence of cooking ourselves. We are all booked proper Icelandic homes. We had pre-booked everything. So again, here's the point of doing everything yourself. We did everything ourselves. We went in. My wife accompanied me, and my wife's cousin also came along with me. So we 3 people were there together, and we had an absolute blast. We not only covered the touristy part of Iceland, but we also covered the offbeat part of Iceland, which is offbeat parts are always the tip of the iceberg, or you can say icing on the cake for any kind of trip. Now, once you do that, then you realize, oh, Iceland has so much to offer. Why are people only going to touristy destinations? You must see all this. So that whole journey, it was topsy-turvy. Many things did not go according to plan. But that's the whole thrill of it. That's the challenge. So, my first time driving outside India, my first time booking any kind of hotels or homestays or any kind of thing outside India. So it was definitely a challenge, but we overcame it basically because we were blessed by the people of Iceland. They were so warm and welcoming, and the houses were so beautiful. And imagine our luck, the day we landed in Iceland, that night we saw the northern lights. So that was like, the starting point, that if this can be the first night, then the other 15 nights are going to be amazing. So yeah, these 3 trips are the most memorable for me.
So, speaking of challenges, what are the typical challenges that you have gone through in your trips? Can you shed some more light on them?
Okay. I think the first challenge for me is food. Food is a massive challenge. Why? Because predominantly I am a vegetarian. Obviously, you don't get much vegetarian options outside India, except in some really nice cities like Singapore, where you get your South Indian masala dosa or your dal vadas of Ahmedabad. So it's very easy to get stuff in Singapore. So because Singapore is a metropolitan city, you get Indians, you get Singaporeans, you get Malays, all those stuff. But places like Iceland, it's a little bit tough. So I think food is a massive challenge, which we overcame by packing a lot of Indian spices and masalas and ready-to-eat food from Ahmedabad itself. So if we have 90 kilos of weight with us, to be carried on the plane, then I think 40 kilos were food, masala, spices. So we took even this one, sambar masala, which was from Bangalore. And so all this kind of stuff. So I think, food is one of the major challenges. Second, I'd like to say language, but I've gotten by broken English. It's not that difficult, but yes, I think it's a challenge. In Iceland, it was not a challenge for me because people speak English there. So that is one big challenge. But generally, I get by. Generally, we use Google Translate, and so that's how that works. Apart from this, culture, respecting other people's culture, that's a massive challenge. In fact, once I visited some religious place in Singapore, I was wearing shorts, and I did not know that. And it was pretty hot in Singapore. It's very humid. It is just like Bombay. And when I went there, the security guy at this place, he told me that, I'm sorry, shorts are not allowed. Then I'm sorry, I said, it's hot. How do I cover it? So then you need to buy us something else to wear, some pant or something to enter this. So so understanding of the religious place before you go and not getting disheartened after you reach there. So I think these 3 are the top 3 challenges for me.
Typically, how do you plan a particular trip, be it within India or outside? I mean, I'm sure you must have traveled extensively. So how do you plan everything together?
The first thing I would do is research. So I think nothing in this world can work without research. That includes traveling or any kind of work that you do in your routine life. Only by experience you know what can go wrong and what can go right. If, let's say, for example, I'd like to go, my next trip most probably will be to the US. So since USA is a big country, you can't just cover everything of it in one single trip. So a lot of people have given me their opinions. Take 2 weeks, go to the East Coast. Take 2 weeks, go to the West Coast. So it depends on people's opinions. So that's where you gain knowledge and inputs. So that's what I do first. I talk to people. I talk to people who stay there. If I know someone there, I'll talk to them. So that's the first thing I'll do, because they are localite, they know the place better. This idea, how it came to me is because when I moved to Ahmedabad after MBA and my work experience in Bangalore, a lot of people call me from Bangalore. They wanted to visit Dwarka, Somnath, and the White Run of Kutch, and Ahmedabad also. So there they were asking me a lot of details. At that point, I was totally blank, and I was just trying to think, how can I not know something about my home city and my home state? So then I said, okay, now is the time to start reading about it. So that's how I got this idea of talking to people. That's the first thing I'll do: talk to people, localites. Second thing is research online, read some books about the place. And again, by reading and researching, you get to know where to stay, what to eat, which tourist place to go, what are the offbeat places. So yeah, I think the only thing I would do is research, and the second thing is booking.
All right. So Kushal, what are your dream destinations, the places you want to go in the future?
Okay. As such, there are a lot of destinations, Abhiram. But yeah, the top of my list will be a place called Galapagos. It's very famous for its marine life. So since I am a scuba diver and an underwater photographer as well, that I think Galapagos will be one of my dream destinations. The second would be the Australia's Great Barrier Reef. Again, a very good destination for marine life. And my third would be New Zealand, because it reminds me. Actually, New Zealand reminds me a little bit about Iceland. So that's a dream destination for me. These three.
Kushal, can you tell us more about your scuba diving and photography? What have you learned? When have you learned? Where have you learned these crafts?
Okay. I started scuba diving in 2013. Scuba diving is, I got a certification from Andaman Islands. I went there in 2013 by my own, a solo trip. In fact, the idea begins from, I wanted to do scuba diving from a long time, since I saw some National Geographic documentary, and I was keen on doing it. One fine day, this movie came out. I'm sure you know it, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, where these boys, they go scuba diving in Spain. That was the ignition point, and then I told my parents that I'm going 10 days alone to this place, and I'll be coming back with a certification. Otherwise, I will not come back. So I made it a point, and I booked my flights, and I booked a course and stay there at the school itself. So it's a very nice school. It's called Dive India, based in Havelock at the Andamans. And they basically have a very nice way of teaching students of how to develop your skills for scuba diving. So since I was very new to it, they taught me snorkeling first, and then I got into scuba diving. So over the course of these 10 days, I became an advanced scuba diver, and I got my certification, which allowed me to dive across anywhere in the world up to 34 meters. So yeah, that's where my journey started for scuba diving. Underwater photography, I've been doing this since 2015. I started with a very small camera. I think the size was this much. And I started clicking pictures. in 2018, 2016, 2016, I graduated from this camera to a very big camera. It's basically a big setup where you have to use your both hands to hold the camera when you're underwater. So your hands are no more there. You can't use your hands for anything else. So that's how perfect your buoyancy should be. So that's what I've been doing. Underwater photography requires skill. So I went on a number of diving trips over the course of these 9-10 years. I've done almost 250 dives across Southeast Asia, including India. And I think my best diving has been in a place in Philippines where I got a lot of marine life, which is only this much, maybe an inch big. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing since past 10 years now.
All right. We have come to the end of this chat, Kushal. So I deliberately kept it at the end. Can you please introduce yourself in the sense your full name, the place you were born and brought up, your education, your past employment history, what are you doing right now, and a brief outline of your family and hobbies. You have almost covered it. Yeah, these things.
Sure. So I am basically from Bangalore. I was born in Bangalore, but I spent my childhood and schooling till 12th standard in Ahmedabad. In 2001, I moved to Bangalore for my graduation and graduation, and I started working at AC Nielsen for after my post-graduation in 2008, and later I joined TCS. And in 2010, they say that, okay, once you are tired of the corporate culture, you bite the entrepreneurial bug. And I bit it, and I returned to Ahmedabad, and I am associated as a director in a logistics company now. It has been almost 13-14 years now. So that's what is there. My childhood was fun-filled. It was actually more than fun-filled, I would say mischievous, because I used to create so much mischief. It was with it ups and downs. It was topsy-turvy. My early childhood was not very rosy. I was sick most of the time with fever and malaria. There is a running joke in our social circle here at Ahmedabad is that Kushal will go to school from Monday to Wednesday, and Thursday to Sunday he will have malaria. So the concept of long weekend came very easy to me and very early. So the best part of childhood was I used to wait for the summer vacations where we would travel to a new destination. The constant of all these summer vacations was the first travel should be to Bangalore, because all our relatives were in Bangalore. We were the only ones who were staying away from Bangalore. So we used to stay at my grandparents' place, we used to stay at my father's brother's place, which was in Malleshwaram. So these areas actually, that's where it triggered this concept of local importance, local food importance. So yeah, that's it. My parents were already here in Ahmedabad. They moved here in 1970s. So yeah, and my father was a regional sales manager in HMT lamps. So he was responsible for sales and marketing across 3-4 states in Western India. And then when he got associated in this same logistics company as a director, my mother was a school teacher. Now she is associated with an institute called Blind People's Association. And my wife, she works in public relations at an institute called Ahmedabad Management Association. And apart from these three, I have a 2.5-year-old Labrador. Her name is Heer. She takes up most of mine and my wife's time. And yeah, so that's just about me. My hobbies I've already covered.
Right. So thank you very much, Kushal. It was really nice talking to you about yourself and your hobbies and your journey of pursuing these hobbies. So best wishes to you and your family on both the front, professional as well as personal. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhiram. It was fun talking to you, and I wish you all the best as well.